I'm here with Jamie, who's running for the Director of Student Development and Activities. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So if you just want to start off by introducing yourself and just telling us, what you study, what activities you're involved with at uni, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Jamie Wiggins, and I've been involved in many different societies and committees, both inside and outside of the student. Oh, I study history.
Okay.
There you go, that's my name. But I've been involved in many different societies and committees, both inside and outside of the Students' Association. The one that I think some students might recognise me from is from being involved in the Charities campaign. This year I've been a Charities campaign convener, or as some like to call it, Rory McLaughlin's husband. And in that role I've overseen over 75 different students in different committees, such as Race 2 and Bank Week and Catwalk Fashion Show. I've also been involved in the Societies Committee of the Union, which oversees society affiliation and funding, and as well as that I've been in my Hall Committee. Lastly, I've been involved in the Students' Councils, in particular the SSC, for the last 2 years, so that's given me a great viewpoint to oversee all of the different Student Association subcommittees that the Doncaster would end up line managing.
Okay. So with all of this, why have you decided to run for DOSTA?
Sure, that's really come down to the amazing experience I've had within the Charities campaign and the Societies Committee, because both of those subcommittees are line managed by the DOSTA, and it's for me, being convener of the Charities campaign this year, I've seen so many different students, whether or not they've been interested in adventure in Race 2 and want to have this crazy hitchhike, or whether they want to put on Catwalk and have this incredible fashion show. They've always, everyone seems to be coming to me for some sort of support and guidance. And for me, I just, like, from the bottom of my heart, just really want to give back and help the students to have a similar experience to what I've had, from learning from my other student peers and learning from the sabbaticals that have line managed the subcommittees I've been involved with during my 4 years here at St Andrews.
Okay. So on the sabbaticals, Charlotte, is the current DOSTA, and looking at her work this year, what would you like to continue if you were elected DOSTA, and what would you have done differently this year?
Sure, that's a really good question. So one thing that I think Charlotte's done really, really well at is the career side of things, because she came in with a manifesto last year trying to broaden out the types of alternative career routes that students can get involved with. And in the first ever Careers Week that happened in semester 2 week 2 this year, she liaised with the Career Centre to put on the Creative Careers panel, which I think was a successful event for those students that might be involved in mermaids or similar societies and subcommittees, and able to go to there and listen to some fantastic speakers. So that's something I'd really like to carry on with if I was to be elected as a DOSTA. I think there's still some tweaking to be had in Careers Week and alternative careers, because the year is specifically looked at. And I think my experience of overseeing the Charities Careers event for the past 2 years will put me in good stead for that. Something that Charlotte maybe could have worked on a little bit more is maybe the rollout of the volunteer portal. So if you're not aware, the volunteer portal is a project that's was passed off by the Proctor's office a couple of years ago in an association with the Student Association and St Sport. This year I think it's been, after speaking to Claire Scott at the AU, who oversees she's the volunteer manager over there, and she oversees the portal, it seems like there's a really big take-up in the AU to get involved with the volunteer portal. Because if you log a certain amount of hours on the portal, you get to put your volunteering hours on the transcript, and what an incredible opportunity to show a future employer that you put in so much time outside. As a subcommittee head, I feel the rollout of the volunteer portal could have been adjusted this year. It was something that was introduced to us in around October, November time, when people had deadlines, and I think at that point, maybe the take-up wasn't as high as what it could have been. But it's a really difficult job.
Yeah. And so in your manifesto, you talk a little bit about postgraduates and the events that may not be available to them in the summertime and increasing that. What kind of events would you like to see for them in the summer, and how would you go about this?
Yeah, sure. This is something I was discussing with a postgraduate student who's actually on my campaign team, and speaking to her about this. And it's just trying to, I think we could make a real effort to show the sorts of activities and resources the union has to offer that postgraduates might be able to take up during the summer. Obviously, as DOSDA, I'd be line managing the Postgraduate Society as one of the subcommittees that the DOSDA oversees. So I think we'd be really sitting down with the PG president who's been elected in this week's elections and trying to work out what they see works best and what best fits. But whether or not that's going to be going to Dean's Court and trying to ask if I could maybe have a speech at some point and explain sort of events and things we could put on. I think that'd be really beneficial. But it's interesting. This last year on the charities campaign, we didn't have a postgraduate member in our committee, and this year we do have 2 postgraduate coordinators, and they've been putting on some really incredible, fantastic events for the charities campaign. And I really do think, as a union, we could be doing more to put on things and put on activities, put on student activities for postgrads, because just like undergrads, they don't just want to study all the time.
Yep. And then you also discussed making training more efficient and interactive for societies and students. How exactly would you like to do this, and what do you envision for training next year?
Yeah, sure. So this is something that I think we can take the leaf out of the AU's book, because currently from what I've been told, the AU Executive Committee currently oversees interactive workshops to its sports clubs, committee members and presidents and things like that. And I think that's something that could really work in the union. We could really look through, if we put on some sort of workshop sort of experience, we'll be able to go over examples of what societies have had trouble with before, and go over some examples, and 2, well, I think it's about bringing different societies together, and they're able to share best practice. And if we have a workshop experience, they're able to share what they do well, why they think they could necessarily be improved on. Because being involved in different committees, I've been able to steal things from other subcommittees and take it to my own. So when I was sitting on Societies Committee last year, I was able to take the minute system that they used to bring it to the charities campaign. I think that really works. Something that I've found out is that the Societies Committee affiliation process, the affiliation process for societies has been discussed in the Societies Committee recently, and they're already going to be they're already looking for affiliation to be the end of April. So it looks like it's already been decided that training is probably going to happen this semester anyway. So to have that workshop experience and before the summer is something that's going to be really exciting.
Very great. And then obviously as DOSDA, you're not just the Director of Activities, but you're also the Director of Student Development. And you touch on in your manifesto the ideas of the volunteer recognition and shine a bigger light on awards. Can you talk about why you feel this is beneficial and what your ideas are for this?
Yeah, sure. Some of our students put in so much work and effort into their extracurricular activities. I mean, for me, I'd say in this charities campaign, Societies Committee, and other things I've dealt with, sometimes maybe I have, sometimes I probably have learned more from those in my actual degree. So the fact that we now have the opportunity as students to have our volunteer hours logged onto academic transcript, so we can show future employers what we've done, is absolutely incredible. It's for me, students should be able to see. I think the wider student body and also members of university staff and maybe the local press should see some of the great things that other students do at this university, and sometimes that's not touched on enough.
Okay, great. And is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your campaign, or anything you would like to say to encourage people to vote for you?
Yeah, sure. Over the last 4 years, I have loved getting involved in different activities, both inside and outside of the union. And for me, I just really love to give back and hope that other students get a really great experience, just like I have, but also something that's even better. For me, a really big point in my manifesto is about support and being there for students, whether or not they're a society trying to put on something that might be something new, and they need to write a risk assessment for that, and they don't know how to write a risk assessment, and I'll be there for them to come and speak to about it. I think having the office, one of my proposals is to have office hours scheduled for students to see, both in the sabbatical office and also in the main bar of rectors. So the main bar, just like how the Societies Committee have their office hours on Monday. And I really just want to be there for students and make sure, as cringy as it may sound, I just really want to be there for students so they can get the maximum potential of each of their different student activities. And that's something that really excites me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.